guys? Welcome back. Legends and Dragons, episode 38, first podcast of 2025. Recording here from the Legends Lair in Hurst, Texas. Chance Burleson. Jimmy Klaus. Yeah, then we got Spencer Holman. Here we go, man. Spence has joined the team. He's our production guy, if you will. Like, what would you classify yourself as now? As part of the Legends and Dragons team.
I'll be your unofficial producer. I'll make sure that it's set up the way you guys need it set up, and all you got to do is hit record, and you already know that the certain things are plugged in, and you're good to go.
That feels like that you might be giving us too much credit. Can you hit the record button? Yeah, because there have been times, man, in this podcast through the last several times, Jimmy, several times
We recorded a whole podcast,
and had to go back and re-record the whole podcast. Yeah, that's why we're glad you're here. Yeah, because I am very good at making sure airplanes don't crash. Chance is very good at teaching martial arts. I'm very, I don't know if I'm as good at teaching martial arts as I am. I'm very charming. I can be very charming in the right circumstance. I think that I have been called, I think I've been called the charming one, and you have been called I've been called the songbird of my generation. The songbird. I don't know. Yeah, when I sing, I want names on the shape of a unicorn. I want names. Who said that? No, but it's weird. It's weird.
I just self-claims. Songbird.
Gotcha. Hey, Chance, how was your holiday, man? Since this was our 2025, you went on a fast, didn't you? Well, you want to talk about that? We talk about what? The fast that you did? The past? No, the fast. Oh, we can talk about the fast. The past that I did. Yeah. Yes, we'll talk about the fast. I do that. So every year for the last decade, I have done a 10-day water fast. And then I did a little more research because I found out I read up on what Dana White did because he did an 86-hour water fast. And then I found out later that he was like, he had some broth or something, you know what I mean? But what I found out is that you get a whole lot of the same benefits from the 10-day fast if you only go 86 hours, which, sounds a lot better because 10 days is a long time. But to be honest with you, I've done it. I've done it for many years. Yep. By day 5, you're fine. The last 5 days, okay, so the first 5 days are 100 times longer than the last 5 days. The first 5 days, you're going through withdrawal. Your body's getting the blood, it's... So the interesting thing is the way your body metabolizes food and blood sugar and stuff like that. It's a 72-hour window, right? So what happens is that whatever you put in your body doesn't get fully processed for 72 hours.
Wow.
That's just the way our bodies think. So you still have technically food in your body the first 3 days.
Right.
Even if you stop eating, right? It's not until about 72 hours goes by that you're completely out of blood sugar and stuff. And that's when I forget the word for it, but that's when your body starts to digest itself, right? And this has been considered a very bad thing. Like, oh no, your body's digesting itself. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is, have you ever noticed that, I don't know if you've ever studied religions, but
I'm Orthodox, yeah.
Oh, good. So you know what I'm talking about. Okay. The world religions, of which there are many, disagree on a lot of key points. They do. Have you ever noticed that almost every single religion on the planet involves fasting?
Yep.
Every single one.
At least the main ones.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, even ones with that are not deity focused, like Buddhism and Shinto, they all have fasting. So I started asking myself, why? Why, when they disagree on so many other things, do they all seem to think that fasting is a good idea because it's considered a spiritual thing and all that? Yeah. What I found is that, like many biblical concepts that I've studied up on,
there's an actual practical reason behind a lot of the practices. You know what I mean? Like there's an act. In other words, it's not just because God said so, you know, which is enough for a lot of people, but there's a reason why. Like there's a reason why it's set up that way. And the real world consequence of fasting is that there's actually no other way on the planet to get rid of necrotic tissue in your body aside from fasting. So plaque, cancer cells, tumors, all of these things, that's what your body actually digests first. Your body is miraculous the way it's put together. So when your body starts starving, it eats the most harmful part inside of you before anything else. So it's like, you know, when you get a sunburn, the skin that comes out after the sunburn is this new fresh baby skin. It's like a sunburn on the inside of your body. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so that's why I do a fast every year.
So what made you decide to do like the fast? Like what was the?
Well, I do it every year.
I know, but with the first time, you're like, well, I'm just going to fast.
Well, okay. Well, you know, obviously my family, like everybody's family, is riddled with cancer and heart disease.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Cancer and heart disease, you know, you're a martial artist. You're a martial artist, right? So we have spent, some would say, an unreasonable amount of time preparing for somebody to try to beat us up in the street.
Yeah.
Okay. But statistically, what is the greatest threat to us?
Our health.
Us.
To attack us.
We're the greatest threat to ourselves. Our habits.
Right.
Our lack of self-care, our poor nutrition. That's the number one thing waiting to jump us in a dark alley.
Yeah.
Is heart disease, cancer, stuff like the high blood pressure.
And the fact that our brain is also here.
Yes.
And not just here.
Well, and you can't separate physical, mental, spiritual. It's all connected. What you do to your body affects your mind and your spirit. What you do to your spirit affects your body and your mind. You can't separate. Well, it's not that easy.
Because your gut health pertains to how your mental, like you can go crazy from having a bad, bad,
yes, So that's why I fast. Now this year I did it differently because the fast is very hard, right? Because your body tells you you're hungry.
Right. Yeah.
You're not hungry. You're going through withdrawals. Your body wants the blood sugar, not sugar, but blood sugar, food, right? And so I failed 3 times this year trying to do it. I couldn't make it past the second day.
So past day 2?
Yeah, I couldn't make it past day 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I decided to do is when we were closed over Christmas, I had my son and his wife drop me off at a cabin on a ranch, so with no car. And I did an 86-hour silent fast. So I didn't speak. I was completely alone in solitude. And I was locked in this little cabin.
Was it a dark cabin?
No, it was like on a cattle ranch with cows and horses.
Okay. So it was peaceful.
It was beautiful.
Okay.
It was beautiful.
Okay.
And
just all water, right? Just all water?
Just water and black coffee. Of course, I had to have black coffee. And it was good for me. And I got the accomplishment of having done it.
Yeah.
Because I do it once a year.
How'd you feel afterwards, man? How'd you feel when you get...
So have you ever heard of a place in the Colony called World Springs?
No.
I don't know, it's a couple of years old. Anyways, it's mineral pools.
Okay.
It's outside. And so they have saunas and mineral pools, these soaking pools.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, we should go out there after my fast. I was still in the last 2 hours of my fast, and we drove out to the Colony, and I was like soaking and floating. And they have one that's called the Dead Sea.
Okay.
So it's like nice seas and high salt content, and I'm just floating in there. It was surreal. It was wonderful. But the greatest part about a fast is the first meal. Holy cow. Where'd you go? We went to a sushi place, which I didn't have sushi. Because I've made this mistake in the past. I'm like, I'm having steak and eggs, and right.
Yeah.
Horrible idea. I puked it up after 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you can't. When you're in starvation, you can't eat a lot of food.
You got to pace yourself. Yeah.
Right? I had a cucumber salad.
Yeah.
That was prepared by God himself. It was the most glorious thing I have ever eaten in my entire life. Yeah. It was glorious. It was wonder. And like miso soup. Yes. That first meal is amazing, you know, and it puts everything in context. You know, we're so ungrateful for what we have. We're just petulant, bratty, spoiled children because of the availability of everything. Everything's at our fingertips. And then what this does is that, and it is a very spiritual process that I go through.
Yeah.
That first meal, the amount of savor that went into that. I'm like, if I could have that for everything I get to experience, literally like Robin Williams said, like suck the marrow out of life. Like really, everything is so precious. And it's not until we're in deprivation that we really understand that. And because of the way the modern world is set up, we have to force deprivation. It's not forced on us. We're not in war-torn, Somalia.
Right.
We're in Hearst, Texas.
So I'm glad you said that, because even though we're not in war-torn wherever, there is a war happening
100%.
Against the people, because like right now, when it comes to our quality of food, everything is like cancerous.
Oh,
everything.
100%.
Everything.
Have you seen the list of ingredients in Europe versus the Europe?
Oh, yeah.
List of ingredients here?
On a box of oatmeal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the FDA just, I think yesterday, they just banned
The red dye 5 or something.
3 or 2.
Only because RFK was announced being the guy for HHS preemptively, because they're like, no, don't come after us for this. But it's like,
that's one of what thousands.
You have decades of you guys basically producing cancer for the country,
Right. Yeah.
and whoever else eats our food.
So money.
So I just added Matthew Crittenden,
Good.
friend of the show, by the way. He's been on the podcast. So this was before Christmas. He was messaging me. He's like, "Hey, Jimmy, I got some slots available. If Miriam and Journey would like to do it." I was like, "Okay, yeah, let me ask Miriam, because we've been talking about it, especially after the podcast." And so my blood work came back. Everything's great. Everything was great. Everything was good, except my love of sweets. My love of sweets, the A1C, right? It was borderline. It was like that William, what was his name? The diabetes dude, not William Defoe. He was on the Remo Williams. You know who I'm talking about, the boss.
Wilford Brimley.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's diabetes. So I was like, hey, I don't want to be diabetes. And so I messaged Crittenden. I was like, hey, man, listen. I'm like, I know, because we talk about it in martial arts all the time, like, hey, you watch what you eat. Right. I do cancer stuff, all this other stuff. I know that. But I have no self-control when you put some Reese cups in front of me, bro.
I can sell pounds of this stuff, but I forget to buy an ounce for myself every now and then. The thing is that I don't take my own advice.
That's exactly right.
Listen, we were at jiu-jitsu the other day, and Coach Phillip brought up Skittles.
Yeah.
And he's like, I eat a bowl of Skittles every day. And he's like, it's fruit. He eats actual fruit every day.
Yeah.
And because we mentioned Skittles, I was like, I'm going to 7-Eleven.
I got Skittles, then you can.
You're like, get me some Skittles, baby.
I'm like, I'm not trying to get this fruit shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But Crittenden, so because he has the app, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, listen, man, this is my goal. So of course I've been hitting all the exercises. I would much rather do the exercises and being so much pain from the hard work he has than the diet.
But here's the thing. Right? This is what people don't, and Matt would 100% confirm what I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
The weight is food.
You're right. Without a doubt.
The health is the exercise.
Correct.
It's not, you cannot outwork eating part.
No, and I know
You cannot because so what they did is they hijacked our brain. It's brilliant, by the way.
Yeah.
It's brilliant what the food industry did.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about that Edward Bernays stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what has happened is the human species evolved. Our taste, our inclination to appreciate the way things taste is in nature. The more rich it tastes, the more calories it has.
Yeah.
Therefore, the more good for our body and the longer we go without starving. Obviously, dirt has no calories. Elk meat has a lot of calories. And so we've evolved things that taste good are good for us just to keep us from starving. Right? Well, we have not evolved to catch up with what the food industry did. What they did is they made stuff with no food in it taste amazing. And so our brain is like, this is good, but there's no nutrition in it. So we keep eating it because our bodies are kind of starving because they're like, where's the food? This tastes like it should have food in it. So we overeat stuff with completely empty calories. I mean, it's a brilliant business model.
It is.
Because the food industry, I don't know if they're officially in bed with the medicine industry.
Well, they are. Dude, they have to be.
I don't know if they will admit that they're in bed together.
After big tobacco. So big tobacco and they invested in food decades ago.
Did they?
Decades.
Wow.
Well, I might not shocked by that one.
Yeah, two bedfellows.
Because I mean, the way that it started out was there was commercials saying like, cigarettes are good for you to have a smoke before breakfast.
Doctor smoking in the examination room.
Yeah. And then they gave it to, they made it popular within media where you'd see women smoking. And it's like, oh, the way to rebel is for women to smoke.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was that. Yeah.
It's terrible, it is.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is why it's so crazy. I have this saying that I say in my school all the time. Look, I don't want to do it. I'm like, well, it's not North Korea. You don't have to do it. Right. Nobody's got a gun to our head on any of this stuff.
Right.
Jimmy, sugar is bad.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there is a gun against our head. When and I'm sorry to cut you off because you were on a roll. The way they have their gun on their head is when it's too late. When you go to the doctors and then you don't have insurance. And if you're trying to pay cash, well, you're out of network, so we need to send you here and here, and so you have to pay 3 times.
Well, no, true, Mel, true. Yeah. But what I mean is, I don't think, unless you guys were raised in a different part of the world than me, we were given the information, that sugar's not a good idea.
Right.
They told us when we were kids, don't eat too much sugar.
Right.
They were told. They told us when we were kids, you should not do cocaine. Right. Porn's not a good idea. Yeah. Don't eat too much sugar. I was given this information.
Actually, no. Actually, in my estimate from school, they were saying, oh, porn's not a bad thing.
Really?
For you to, and maybe this is California school.
Probably California. I wasn't given that information in Texas. Yeah.
They're saying, oh, no. If you don't ejaculate, your prostate's going to explode. Eventually you're going to get prostate cancer.
Serious?
Right. Yeah, that's what they're telling us. Yeah.
No way.
In health class. Yeah.
Right, that's insane.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So I remember kind of given the steering directions, like the cones, drive between these cones. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Right.
And then I just went and did all of the stuff that they told me not to do, And so when I say there's not a gun to our head, what I mean is that we have to take back our power of choice.
100%.
What I've decided for me, I'm a recovering addict, right? Everybody is supportive that I no longer do illicit street drugs or drink alcohol.
Right.
Everybody is on board. They're like, oh, that's so wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Try turning down a cookie.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it is.
I'm like, guys, I'm not condoning dog fighting. I just don't want a cookie.
Right.
No one wants you to eat right.
Remember what Jesse told us?
It feels so lonely to do what I do because I don't have any sugar or flour.
Remember what Jesse James told us?
Period.
Remember what he told us about it? Like if someone offers you a cookie, the excuse that you make, like, oh, I'm competing for or whatever. Like it's none of their business.
Well, here's the thing, Jimmy. No's a complete sentence. I don't need no friggin' approval.
Yeah.
You know what? And the thing is that, and this is, I do this privately. Okay. I don't say this out loud, but I generally look at the source of who wants me to eat the cookie.
Sure, yeah.
So what do you? Well,
it's generally not a health nut that wants me to eat the cookie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, Jimmy, come on.
Right.
So what you're saying is it's almost like a zombie effect.
It is. So what I do is, do you know where the social eating came from historically?
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you noticed that you can't gather? I'm surprised the three of us could sit here together without shoving something in the hole in our face. You cannot gather more than a handful of people for any reason without there being food.
That's probably
Notice.
Yeah.
Office part, no matter what it is, if you don't have food there, it's like they don't know what to do with themselves. Okay?
It's true.
And we bond. No, nobody's bonding over steamed broccoli and grilled chicken. They're bonding over apple pie and chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes and gravy and biscuits, like comfort food.
Right.
So what I'm trying to tell you is, do you know where the social we all have to sit at the table and eat together is? It's even biblical. Breaking bread, all that stuff. Scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't all gather around the same place where there was food, you didn't get any.
Yeah.
And that continued for so many hundreds and thousands of years that now it's like part of our culture is that we gather together. So you know what I do? I don't.
That's good. So
I will not go eat with people.
Yeah.
Period. I will not do it. We're all going out to dinner. Y'all have fun.
Yeah.
I will not do it.
So what Matt has done, and you know this, and for all you guys at home, go check out the podcast with Crittenden and use his services. But it's obviously a change in mindset, right? Because he says, Jimmy, this is what I want you to do. 5 days, this diet, right? So it was like breakfast, like 3 eggs, sourdough, sourdough bread, whatever. And so he's changing the mindset that when I'm on my free day now, and I'm like, and I gorge myself,
Feels bad.
I'm sick. No, not just feels bad, but then I'm like,
yeah, it's bad.
It's all jacked up, man. It's like I don't want to eat the pizza with the 2 liter or whatever because it's that mindset thing. And of course, guys like you, Spence, are another reason why I had to reach out to young Matthew, because I got tired of getting my butt whipped by guys like you on the mat, like half my age. That like I need to get some sort of skill here. Like I need to get some sort of advantage because Spence is grabbing my leg and he's ripping it off and beating me with it and then putting it back on my leg. That's on my body.
But here's what's funny. This is the joke, right? How old are you?
32.
Okay, so Jimmy and I should be way smarter than you. Okay, even listen, Spencer. Even when we're wrong,
Right.
Yeah.
our wrongness is rooted in more information than yours.
Right.
I have 2 decades of life that should give me more experience than you.
Sure.
Here's the great joke. Here's the irony. Is that usually by 52, my body is so broken through lack of self-care that I can do nothing with my knowledge. Because your youth compensates for your lack of knowledge.
Right.
Right? And so it's still like, oh my gosh, now I know all these things to do to Spencer, but I'm too old and broken to do.
Oh, I know. Isn't that the
But it doesn't have to be that way.
You're right.
If we're truly as smart as we should be, then we would take much better care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is why, did you go to the Henzo seminar?
I didn't.
Why do you hate that? So, anyways, I got to meet. So are you coming to black belt class tomorrow?
I should be able to.
Okay.
I don't know.
What's going on with that?
Okay. So I have the way my school is set up. We're not particularly good at any one thing, right? We're decent strikers. We're decent with a weapon. We're decent at breaking. We're working towards being more decent at jiujitsu, but we are a hybrid style.
Jack of all trades.
Yes,
School.
yes, right. So my black belts, I have one of the best black belt retentions in our school.
I would agree with that.
I keep black belts after they get black belt. And one of the reasons that I do is because I have a black belt only training class, right? And it is almost exclusively taught by guest instructors from other styles and other systems. Phillips come in and taught for a whole month before Bloss comes in. So I'll have a Muay Thai guy. I'll have a weapons guy. I had a firearm guy come in. Like I want them to understand how big the ocean is of martial arts.
Should I need to come?
Yes. Yes. Come tomorrow at 7.
Who's teaching this week?
Chad Snyder. He's never taught here before.
Really? Chad's up? Okay.
So Chad.
You have a 7 p.m. class on a Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chad is coming. He's doing boxing.
Okay.
Right. That was Dad's first style, was boxing. He was a Navy boxer before he ever did martial arts. Right. So Chad's a Muay Thai guy. He's also a 3rd degree in jiu-jitsu under JD Shelley. Now, here's the reason I'm bringing this up. JD Shelley was at the Hinzo seminar, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about when I tell you. Okay. He was the man who was either 25 with completely white hair and a beard, or he was 111 years old and a god. This guy was in the best physical condition of I mean, he was Hanshi level, but he was older. He's like 70 something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's very high. He's like a 5th degree in jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
But you look at him and you're like, it can look like that.
Yes. Yeah.
It can.
Right.
You won't trip and fall into that accidentally.
Right.
Like the amount of discipline your habits have to have that kind of youth at that age, but it can be done.
Dude, I'm glad you said it. Let's talk. That's one of the topics I wanted to talk about as well, is consistency. Because, so Talon, my son, he earned his black belt under Valdez. So, he's been on the mat since he was 5. So 2 years ago, he said, I want to do basketball, Dad. So he did it. He played all the sports. He dabbled in all the sports. He played football, played soccer, played baseball, played basketball, fell in love with basketball. Good. Wants to do basketball. I said, okay, we'll do it. His bud has been on the court since he was 5. So his friend is phenomenal. But Talon has been putting in the work. He's been, for the last 2 years. His skill has just climbed. And I hear other kids say, man, I wish that I had Talon's this, or I wish I had Talon this. And I have to remind them, consistency. And the same thing with jiu-jitsu, right? Even in our group chat, you heard like, hey, how can I get so good? I'm studying. Well, it's consistency. You got to put the time on the mat. You have to show up to class. You have to. So 15 minutes a day is what I tell the young kids, like 15 minutes a day. You want to get better at dribbling the basketball? 15 minutes a day. I'm like, do that math. 15 minutes a day for a week is what, about 2.5 hours-ish, whatever, 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hours a week. Now multiply that by a month. Now multiply that by a year, just by 15 minutes a day. So you have all of these hours now, as opposed to someone who's practicing one time a day or one time a week,
right,
for about 30 minutes or so.
And it's how you use that time though too. Like you can dedicate 15 minutes a day towards doing push-ups every day, but you're just getting good at push-ups.
Right.
Versus like the way I approach jiu-jitsu is, and the way I was taught before is like, my jiu-jitsu career originated at Carlson Gracie South Bay in Torrance, California. Shout out to Andre Alemo, my professor from there. the way he would do class is you'd come in, there'd be like a little bit of a warm-up roll, everyone come in and bow, boom. Then you do across the floors sort of rolls, and not rolls, but across the floor, sort of like, shrimping out.
Yeah, like shrimping, hip escape,
all those different things. Then you get into the lesson. And the whole week was broken up like this. We're going to start you off with a guard, right? And we're going to do just the basics of that guard. Come Wednesday, everyone's kind of got an idea of the guard. And then Wednesday, we're going to introduce submissions within that guard and how to pass. And the whole week builds from the concept to this. And everybody from higher level, blue belt, black belt, whatever, and white belt could all take this in, refine their guards and reconnect that. And that whole system was learned throughout the whole week. I've been at different schools where it'll be a different lesson that's not contiguous or in sync with the rest of the lesson. And I have found that, in my opinion, that the ability to retain information, because this is me, like you say, repetition, who spends the most time on what? I feel like you can build a better guard by taking a week to do one thing rather than learning 15 things in 1 week, because you can, or 5 different things in 1 week because you can.
I would agree with that.
My journey to learning De La Riva, right? And I'm still not very good at De La Riva. I'm good at worm guard. I'm not good at De La Riva. And even at my worm, I'm not good. Professor Greg is helping me retain that. But I have a diversity and knowledge of guards, and I've had the same diversity of knowledge of guards since I was still a white belt. There's not many guards that I know that are new since I've become a blue belt.
Yeah.
And I've known all this stuff since white belt, and I've just been refining the things that I do know. But to have that diversity to know, like, the beginnings of like deep half, what do you call it? Half guard, De La Riva, which then leads to worm, K guard that leads to squid guard, X guard that'll lead you to deep Del X, or to, like, there's so many different things that you can use that will help you. If someone dissolves that guard, you can bounce to another guard, or you can go into a loop choke, or you can go to this. And loop choke, it's like a loop choke guard where you're just continuing to spin and get into this revolving thing where people are like, man, this guy, he doesn't know when to stop. He has an answer for everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how you get those jiu-jitsu practitioners who really know, like, there's always something into another thing, and it seems like you're always 10 steps ahead because you have this Rolodex of information that you can. And I always refer to jiu-jitsu as this for me, because I'm a musician as well. It feels like jazz. Whenever I'm doing jiu-jitsu, it feels like jazz. Some people are metal players, and I'm like, I can easily dissolve someone who does metal.
Right.
Because I'm jazz. Like, okay, you're doing this, and I'm doing I can, what do you call it? Improv my way into,
So, interesting point that you make. One of the things that I've noticed is that techniques conflict all the time. Okay. What I mean by that is not just in martial arts, but the way Jimmy does this technique in jiu-jitsu might conflict with how you do the same technique in jiu-jitsu, but the principles behind why you do them are never in conflict.
Right. The foundation is still there.
And you say you're orthodox. So it's that very, very famous concept of when one door closes, another door opens. In combat, I can't block whatever you're doing without opening up another avenue. It's impossible. It's that quid pro quo. So if you punch me with that hand and I block, I'm opened my head. Right. Exactly. If I block my head, I have opened my body. So when I block your guard pass or side control or whatever, I can't block it without giving you something else. The knowledge you're talking about is being several. It seems like you're faster. You're not faster. You just see further. Did you ever see the movie Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere? No, he was not. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was talking about this Mothman, which was a true story. They had these sightings and it was this crazy thing. And they're like, what is it? Is it aliens? Is it a god? Is it spirits? Is it demons? Whatever. And he said, if you're standing on a building looking out, and if you're in a car on the same street under that building, the person standing on the building sees what's going to happen way before it happens.
Yeah.
If you're in the car, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
The person on the building isn't a god.
Right.
They just have a perspective and a view beyond what you do just because of where they're standing. And I think that's where the skill in martial arts is I can see further. In recovery, we talk about, because, I help a lot of guys stay clean.
Right.
And when people, kind of consistently relapse over and over and over again, I said, what's happening is you're blowing through stop signs like a drunk driver because you don't see them.
Right.
If you stay in recovery and you stay clean and you work the steps, what happens is you start seeing those stop signs further out so you can turn.
Right.
You don't have the experience yet. Like in jiujitsu, I'm constantly wrapped up, constantly tied up because I didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it coming because of my ignorance. And the great thing about ignorance is that it's curable.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's why they say knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because my own ignorance has caused me to have my fingerprints over all of my mistakes. I just didn't see them in the moment because of ignorance.
Yeah, but you and I, though, but you're starting to see stuff. I'm starting to see stuff.
Yeah, we're getting better.
But why? It's just that consistency.
So discipline and willingness combined over time and patience is consistency.
See, and what I tell people, I mean, we've talked about this before, is martial arts is not a microwave; it's a crock pot.
Yeah,
There's
it's not
no
a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
But I also want to talk about consistency in other parts of life too, other than just martial arts. For instance, I joined the military, and I only had 2 suitcases that was it. 2 Dude, I started off 0, right? So when I was 18, I joined the military. I'm 45 now. So the consistency of investing.
Which branch?
Air Force.
Okay.
So consistency of saving and investing and putting money into savings and mutual funds and the TSP and stuff over time. Now that investment has reached a good point, right? Because I was consistent in it. So people are like, and don't give up. It doesn't matter how old you are, by the way. You can start investing now. I mean, if you're 60, 70, 80 years old. Yeah, man, you need to be consistent. And what people don't have, as you said, Chance, they don't have that discipline. And I find that people don't have that discipline because they also don't have that village, that people to help them, right? Like I know to eat right. I know.
You know what?
I know to eat right.
Yeah.
I know that I can never outwork a bad diet. I know that. But I needed the help. I needed Matt to walk alongside me and go, hey, Jimmy, and motivate me and help me. Martial arts, right? You and I can't just get on the mat and go, hey, I know stuff without being taught.
Right.
And without the consistency of continuing to learn. Same thing in marriage. Same thing in relationships. Same thing with being a good parent. Same thing with, you have to be consistent. You can't, and you have to consciously make the effort. You need to surround yourself with people who are going to sharpen you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to push you to be a better version of yourself every day. Like, that's why, listen, Philip does that to Greg. He pushes us. You push me. And now we brought Spence on here.
Yep.
We got Spence on here. We're just sharpening and making each other better. But the same can be said is, like I telling you are who you hang out with, man. If you hang out with the bad crowd at school and you keep getting in trouble, why do you think that is? Because you're hanging out with the crew that's not lifting you up. And so, hey, did you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with Mark Zuckerberg? Have you heard that? And
yes, his wife told him that he had to go back and start training after he got hurt. So better person. So when you're training.
So I listened to it. So before I listened to that podcast, I told Miriam, because there was like changes to like the whole fact checking thing on social media and stuff. I told Miriam, I said, I bet you is jiu-jitsu. I bet you it's martial arts. I bet you he's going to say that on the podcast with Joe Rogan. And sure enough, man, he said, jiu-jitsu, martial arts. And I was like, dude.
I found that because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I got about 2/3 in because I got irritated because I'm like, yo, talk about censoring stuff on COVID, man. Like more.
Yeah.
I'm like, talk about the censorship a little bit more. But with that podcast with him, what I found was interesting when they got into the martial arts stuff was they talked about once he started getting into jiu-jitsu and other mixed martial arts, his perception of masculinity changed because it's a masculine atmosphere, which what was happening on Facebook and how they were censoring was a very feminine thing to say, oh no, you can't say this. Oh no, you can't say that. You're on timeout. We're putting you in here. We're putting you over there. You know what I mean? We're going to cancel you or whatever. That's a very feminine activity, whereas the masculine is like, no, I invite the attacks because I'm trying to get better at countering these attacks or absorbing these things and being able to work around them. But I just found it was interesting, that connection of like, Trump gets in the office, all of a sudden he's making a change with the Facebook appearance.
I don't think it was a business decision either.
That was a business decision, but I mean, it's like, I hope that Facebook becomes a more balanced, neutral place where we can have discourse without like having fun. Because I completely don't, I'm not on Facebook like that. I'm not on social media at all anymore, really, because it's a place where people lose themselves, and I feel like a lot of people go crazy. They do. Yeah. I feel like they go absolutely nuts, and they can look on the outside completely normal. I'm like, why are you guys sharing the most intimate, personal parts of yourself on this app? And it's forever. It's forever.
So I would counter something that you said about the feminine.
Sure.
Okay. Not that you're not right, but I don't think that tells the whole story.
Agreed.
Okay. Because what you're describing is that kind of canceling, you're in timeout, you can't say that. I think that is, we use the term toxic masculinity a lot. I think that's toxic femininity. The feminine energy.
Good.
Okay.
Solid.
I'm not going to. I think that's the toxic side of it.
Yeah.
I think that the true feminine strength doesn't look like that at all.
Right.
Like the real healthy, balanced feminine energy doesn't look like that. Right. Very much like the true masculine energy is not posturing and chest bumping and you know what I mean? Like that locker room kind of shoving against, you know what I mean? That's because here's the thing. I'm so grateful for my childhood, right? Because the people that were in my home, my whole childhood, were the people they tell stories about. Right? The Bob Walls, the Fred Wrens, the George Minshews, the Skipper Mullins. These are the blood and guts, the Superfoot Wallace. Like, I don't know how many times he was in my dad's home when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
These were the men that I saw as a child growing up. Now, the stories you hear about them are what they did in the ring at tournaments, right? But that's not who I saw. You know what I saw?
What's that?
Gentle, kind, loving, respectful. I saw softness.
Right, yeah.
The person that they were to regular people in everyday interactions was not, it wasn't like that at all. And so what I was raised to believe, my dad was a very gentle, soft person.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he was still Pat Burleson, like he could still like rip your throat out and suck your eyeballs out of your face. But that wasn't what I saw.
Yeah.
Which is masculinity is also diplomacy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, diplomacy is the highest form of warfare. Violence is the lowest form of warfare.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so what I have been raised to believe, and I believe this in my bones, true strength is gentle.
Well,
When you are strong enough to show softness, that's what real. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't choke you out or break your teeth out if they have to.
right. Yeah.
But it would take so much to make them do that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? Whereas that real kind of healthy feminine energy is not that kind of like nagging, you know what I mean? That counter, you know what I mean? That's exactly. Yeah. So when you're not aware spiritually and evolved, that's how you act feminine.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you're a scared little boy and you don't have any confidence, you're going to be toxically masculine. You're going to posture around and try to throw your weight around. Yeah. So I think when we, what's up, you good looking man? You go to your bed. So I really think, because I've known some very, like, here's the thing. Have you ever been duped into watching Titanic? I think all men have been, yeah. And I'm not proud of it, right? But I have had to watch it.
How many times?
Yeah.
By yourself?
Shut up, Jimmy.
As I've grown older, I've seen the significance in the movie that's not even displayed in the movie.
Of course.
Do you know what that is?
What?
The significance of Titanic?
The significance of it?
The significance of the Titanic and why that boat sinking was important. Aside from the Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, tell me.
Yeah.
So, that ship sinking, we would not have the federal, or there would be more of a battle today as to, we probably wouldn't have the Federal Reserve today had the people on that ship not been on that ship.
Really?
Yes. 3 of the more wealthy millionaires at that time were on that ship, who were counter to JP Morgan, the people who were on Jekyll's Island, because the Federal Reserve was created on an island literally called Jekyll's Island, where they got together and made this private institution that is why we have a death and debt society. Yes. Yeah, that's why that movie, to me, is like a... They didn't make
I knew it. I knew.
Listen, I knew it.
Yeah. Thank you. But that's why, to me, they did a whole sort of like bait and switch. The Titanic, right? But the real story behind that is the societal thing, not the romanticism above it. Because they could have chose to make a Titanic movie talking about
the money,
the banking interests. Yeah. Yes.
Hey, for those that don't know, the Titanic sunk.
Yeah. So,
spoiler alert.
What, too soon? So, the reason I bring up the Titanic is the story about Rose and who she grew to be as a result of what her life was like after she got back to America, right? That's my mom. My mom is Rose.
Okay.
She was the strongest, most loving, gentle, but impressive woman. And to this day, she has dementia, so she's kind of fading.
Yeah.
But I have yet to meet a female on this planet that can stand in the same room with my mother. Right? And she's never sounded like that. Ever. Does that make sense? So I know what true feminine strength can look like.
Sure. Yeah.
I know what true masculine strength can look like. And it doesn't fit the stereotype. Like, for instance, when a woman is complaining about a man, we sound like complete idiots. Right? When a man is complaining about a woman, we make them sound insane and naggy. Right? The thing is that what we're doing is we're both illustrating the least desirable traits of that gender. Can we look like that and sound like that? Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not our best work.
You know what? I'm glad you said that too. Let me talk to you idiots out there that do that about your spouse. That don't. Well, exactly. But let me. This is for you fools here. There are billions. What do we say? 8 billion people on this earth, right? Let's just say half of them are women. So 4 billion, roughly 4 billion. You chose one out of 4 billion, and you want to dog her to your buds, and you want to just talk to her like trash, and you think it's okay? Like, get out of here, get on my face, man.
You know what Hanshi taught me? This is a thing that I believe in very strongly. It's called loyalty to those not present. Okay. If I have good things to say about Spencer, I am free to say them to anybody I want.
Right.
He didn't have to be in the room.
Right. Yeah.
If I'm going to say anything negative about Spencer, it better be to Spencer.
Right.
Or shut my cowardly
100%.
mouth.
And that's the thing too about social media. Yeah, I get.
Oh yeah.
It's like you keyboard cowboy. Come to more legends.
What did Tyson say? Social media has made people way too confident.
Oh yeah,
for being an asshole. So without getting punched in the face over it.
So I shared a video of Talon just dribbling at home. Right. And
that was super cool. Yeah.
But I had another one on there that people were just making comments, not about his dribbling, but because he's going through some. Yeah. Right?
Are you telling me somebody said something about that?
Right. And so when I was like, dude, it almost got it got about 1 million views. We got about 1 million views right there. But as I was like, filtering through, because I was filtering through just some of the negativity. I don't care. Y'all can say whatever you want about me. I really don't care.
Nobody said that about a child.
But they said it about a child. And so I was like, man. And so of course Talon was like, Dad. So he's taking a page out of my book. He's taking a page out of my book, but like, Dad, I don't care, Dad. I don't care. I'm like, I get it, bud. I get it, but you're 13, right? You're 13. I know you don't care, and I appreciate you not, or because
of having thick skin.
You don't care,
right? I do appreciate that, right? But at the same time, the dude's 13,
right?
And so I deleted it, got another one out there, right? Just and
you deleted it.
Well, I deleted that video.
Okay.
Because just all the stuff, 1 million. I didn't care, dude. It's not about the views, right? It's like. Right. So I created it, because I know the world that we live in as well. Right. Is Talon wants to play ball, so I created an Instagram page, just basketball, because he wants to play basketball later on in college. And if you show these skills, right? I mean, there's a lot of coaches that are doing that. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. But then it just got me thinking, like, we're so comfortable to just absolutely say whatever the hell we want to.
Right.
Behind the keyboard. And especially like to a child, right? About a child. And I'm like, I'm like, dude, tap the brain. And then I started talking to Miriam about it too. I'm like, I don't care what people say, but like, I mean, we talked about this before. I care about what Chance has to say about me, or Blas, or some of my friends.
Right.
But like as society as a whole, you don't care about what you're saying.
Here's the thing. First of all, I think you're lying.
Go on. Okay. How so?
And if you're not, I'm envious.
Okay.
All right. I don't think that exists.
About caring?
I think that we all care at least a little bit.
So here's where I care.
What do you mean? What are we talking about?
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I don't think that any person on the planet could say something rude or discourteous or impolite or unflattering to you, and it would have zero effect. Zero. Now, a higher state of evolution would mean that you take it with a grain of salt and go, well, that person doesn't know me very well. And you know what I mean? But it still never feels good for anyone to say anything negative about us. Like to us.
Listen. I used to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. All right.
You know what I mean? When it was the Wild Wild West, you're in the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
Boop, 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 in-bomb, like drop first thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Really?
And we're going, you know what I mean? And we're having a great time. And it's just like,
So here's the thing. This is why I think you're lying.
Okay.
Because I used to care an awful lot what everyone thought of me.
right.
And the more work that I did,
Yeah.
the more I now doesn't really bother me that bad.
So here's
Doesn't really bother, and that's progress.
right.
But I still don't like it when anyone says anything negative or unkind about me.
This is probably where mine comes in about not caring, right? And I'm not saying when I was younger, I didn't care, okay? Because it's the evolution. Because when I was younger, I was.
Yeah.
But in the environment that I grew up in, right? The abuse,
Had to develop
Right.
Teflon.
when my old man,
Sure.
abusive, alcoholic, whatever, just say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
You should have to make. Okay, so I got that Teflon. I joined the military, and then I started. I wanted.
And you used the Teflon.
I did.
in the military.
I did. But I also wanted to be accepted by everyone.
Sure.
I was looking for that acceptance. I was like, I want you to like me. I want you to like me. I want you to like me, because I was hungry for it, right? Years later, probably not, I say years later, but the evolution of me not caring came from, like, if you, Spence, Blas, Philip, my close circle,
Yeah, your
if you guys said something, right, that stung me, then I would care.
I see.
Then I would be like, man, Chance is saying that I'm doing that. Like, I need to reevaluate. Like, Chance is saying, dude, you're spending way too much time at, away from your family. You need to balance that. Or Jimmy, you're doing. Like, I'll be like, all right, Chance. Chance sees something.
You would take it to heart.
I 100% take it hard. But outside of that inner circle, like, you're right. I'll probably filter, like, okay, maybe I am. Maybe I'll just do a quick self-evaluation, right? I'll do a quick check. Like, do I? But at the same time, if they're saying something negative, I don't care. Wow. Because my inner circle, right? Because those I have surrounded myself with, that is who, look, I chose Miriam.
Right.
She is my biggest cheerleader. She is my gal. I'm not going to talk trash about her. Now, I'll make comments like Miriam,
Sure.
but
As she will.
right? But I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys like, man, Miriam, she was just nagging, she was doing this, right? I'm not going to speak ill of her at all.
You know where I think the difference is? And what you just said makes a lot of sense. You probably did have to develop this kind of like I'm rubber, you're glue, bounce.
Sure, yeah.
So my story, I'm Pat Burleson's kid. I want the world to believe that I'm not a disappointment in that role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have grown up feeling like I had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
So I did listen to what people that didn't know me said, because I want to be worthy of that. I don't want to be this pale imitation or the shadow. So
would that weigh on you?
of course it does.
Like, if Spence, like, say you didn't know Spence, or Spence said something, that would
Of course it would. But I've done enough work where I would now know he said that, but he doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I bet you if he got to know me, he would think that less. If he saw how hard I work to try to live up to that name, because I'm the only one, guys.
Yeah.
My sisters, my brothers, like they're, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're not carrying
the Burleson, they're not carrying the
doing it in their own way.
But don't you think it only hurts more when it merits any shred of truth?
Well, because I have self-doubt.
Right.
And so what happens is that if somebody says something negative, I'm like, holy shit, it's our...
And I listen, and I, yeah.
But if you don't ever self-reflect, if you don't ever go, hey, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, I think that's dangerous too.
Because how many conversations have you and I had? Exactly this, right? Yeah, like, you'll call me or I'll call you.
Yes.
We'll talk about it, something. I'm like, dude, no, dude, you're, and you'll tell me the same thing, right? But you're right, man. Because the thing is this, like, people ask me, like, when I do stuff on the Hill, when I do stuff on Capitol Hill, years ago, I haven't really done anything. I don't think I'll do it again. But, during lobby week, right? Like, I can talk to anyone. I can talk to any senator, any congressman, whatever. Because my mindset is this, right?
Tony said it's selling us out.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because my mindset is this: you're going to die. I'm going to die. Like you and I can talk. You're not taking my birthday away. Like no matter what, we can have this conversation here, but I still have to go to work the next day. I still have to live my life. You're putting your pants on the same as I do, unless you don't have legs, then that's my mindset. It's like I can talk to anyone because at the end of the day, I know that God is on the throne. He hasn't changed. No matter what people try to say, he has given us. I mean, we've already talked about the fasting. Daniel fast is in there, where we talked about all this stuff, right? So I'm confident in who I am. Like in my brain, like Talon's the same way. Like, dude, I am the GOAT. I will tell both you boys right now. I am the greatest of all time. I am a legend in my own mind. I look in the mirror, man. So like, can me, man? I fall in love with me every time I walk by a mirror, right? It's because but I didn't always have that though.
Well, I've worked pretty hard to get closer to what you're describing.
Yeah,
right.
But you're in a different.
I have a different story. I have a different lens.
But you're also in a different arena, right?
I am. My reputation is incredibly important
because you have a business.
Yes.
Like my business, I go to work, and like I know no matter what, if I died on the way home, the national airspace planes are going to continue to fly, right? It doesn't care about Jimmy Cluster. So all I can do is my influence. You're running Legends Martial Arts.
And so you saw the guy that I posted something like, "Thanks, Dad." It was like on the anniversary of his birthday or something like that. And this guy, I don't know who this guy is. He's a karate guy, Texas karate guy. They're precious. And he pipes in, "Chance, you're not your dad. You'll never be your dad." What? Can't even stand. Like it was horribly profane.
What?
And of course, it was about. I don't know.
Older man.
This guy, yeah, he's an older guy. Yeah.
Say, devil, get out of this man. Get out of this man.
So the funny thing is that apparently he did it in the morning, and I'm not a morning person.
Right.
So several of my friends, including my son, saw it before I got to see it. And so they came to my defense.
Absolutely.
And my answer, I know you know the post I'm talking about.
No, I have not seen it.
So, but my answer, of course, Stephen Wheeler's like, "Hey man, you want to spar?"
Well, yeah, my man.
And I love my people. They're so great,
Yeah.
And my response to him was, "You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I'm working so hard to be worthy of the name that I carry."
Yeah.
And that was my only response. And then the magic happened. He answered, "Hey man, if there's anything I can ever do to help your school, yeah. So let me show you something. You ready? I've showed this to Jimmy. I'm going to show it to you. I learned it from Hanshi. Right? All right, stand up. What is your response to this? Like your physical response. If I were standing here like this, what is your reaction?
Can I do the camera things here?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
What?
Leave me, cameraman.
What is your response to this? Good. Right. All right. Put your hands up in a fighting stance. When we talk about toxic masculinity, did the camera catch that?
I caught it. I moved it.
Okay.
I'm a great cameraman, by the way. The greatest of all time.
Is being able to respond to your aggression with this. Now, here's the thing. I can fight.
Right.
We can fight. Right.
The fight hasn't started until the first blow.
Exactly.
The fight hasn't started until the first blow.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what I've noticed is that my eagerness to jump into conflict is based in fear. It's based in fear and weakness. I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look inept. I don't want to look, but the strength is in being willing to appear that way for the good of both of us.
Right.
Because I understand something, Spencer. I cannot ball up my fist and knock your teeth out of your face without causing more harm to myself than you. And I'm not willing to do that. And here's the thing. There's power in numbers. There might actually be a real threat to either of us and we're more equipped side by side than we are at each other's throat.
Right.
You know, that's when I look at these political debates and I look at these people that are at each other's throat. I'm like, Walking Dead. Walking Dead. Would you be pals?
Yeah.
But dude, they're pals anyway. That's their thing. They have so much more in common. They're just so focused on those differences.
But they trash each other on camera.
I know. I'm like, all right. So if the Red Dawn parachutes started coming down,
Yeah.
would you put aside your differences and go, all right, we got to take care of each other? You know?
Right, yeah.
How about we just act like that now?
because
there's a whole economy
Oh yeah.
and grift to us being divided.
George Carlin said it.
Yeah, the black and white grift is the oldest American grift,
Yeah. Right.
which is to pin white against black while someone else makes off with the good
And it works.
it does work.
all day
Where
long.
they run off with the money.
all day long.
I know.
All day long. And I try to let black people know, I'm like, you guys could be focused on this race stuff, but there are people getting
Rich off of it.
rich off of it. And just in general, like, why would you, like, for me, I can't spend my whole lifetime in fear of something, which is exactly actually why I joined jiu-jitsu,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which was during COVID, during the pandemic, 2020, in August. So there was like the COVID thing started in February. We're entering lockdowns. I'm thinking, oh shit, I don't have any weapons. I live in California. Oh, there are people looting and rioting. It's happening. It's happening in LA, and I live on this hill. And there's, I set up my grandparents' surveillance cameras, and I'm looking at the surveillance feed, and I'm like, I didn't even know there's this many crazies on this hill.
Wow.
And I joined jiu-jitsu because I was like, I need to figure out how to defend myself. And within doing jiu-jitsu, I conquered many fears.
Sure.
I used to fear the police.
Really?
And then I got into jiu-jitsu and started meeting cops and greasing the cops. Most of the cops who I met in jiu-jitsu, and I'm not saying this to shit on you guys, 'cause I love you guys are friends, but I would dominate them in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And it gave me this confidence of, holy shit, this figure that I saw.
Right. It's just pin up to, yeah.
First of all, they're just another person.
Yep.
And those people, when like, because I got a ticket, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. And the personality.
You ever think about not breaking the law?
Shut up.
Dude, when I tell you, listen, I was going 38 in a technical 40.
What?
I turned,
Come on, man.
dude, I was going 38 and a technical 40. His little caveat was, well, you're in a school zone and the lights are flashing. But hold on. I turned left onto the street, and where I turned left,
There was no school zone.
there was no flashing yellow light that I could see. He's sitting in the center of the freaking the intersection. He's sitting there waiting for people. I'm like, I see you. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll drop to 38. He pulls me over.
Man.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm being conscious about this. And he was like, well, you're in a school zone. I'm like, I didn't see that flashing in right. I just turned left.
So what was your mindset after that? What you pulled you with?
My mindset was is that when your leaders, because in my mind, I was furious because I'm like, when your leaders are lying, cheating, and stealing, and the rule of law is only upheld against the plebs and not the people up top. Because the only thing I was thinking was like, Hunter Biden got off all this stuff, and like you're hitting me with like I'm 138 and a 20, like,
And a councilman in the city of Hearst wouldn't be getting a ticket right now.
right. And I'm thinking like to myself, I'm like, this is going to have a ripple effect. You give me a ticket, it could affect I'm a business owner, it could affect my insurance, and then give me a point on my driver's license, and this and this and this. And I'm like, we're in an economic downturn right now with America where we have the opportunity to go up, and we're trying to tax our citizens to hell. Like, I feel like, and I love cops, them as people, some of them as people, but when they turn on that like cold thing, and I was being really reasonable. I was like, hey, I'm not trying to argue with you, and I I don't mean to say this in any type of disrespect or anything like that, but I want you to level with me. Like, I'm looking at a 40 mile per hour sign right there. And he's like, yeah, but right back there, there's a yellow flashing sign. I'm like, yeah, I turned left, so I didn't see that sign. He didn't care. He still gave it to me. He's like, are you going to sign for this ticket? I'm like, no. And he was like, well, if you don't sign, then da-da-da-da. And then I was like, well, can you just tell me, like, if I don't sign, what happens here? And if I don't, he's like, no, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to tell me that? And he wouldn't tell me. And this is what I'm saying. Like, in America, we were given inalienable rights by our creator. And I think, like, we've become so litigious and authoritarian on both sides, right or left, that we're forgetting the plot. That I'm going to see that guy. I live in that area. So in his argument was, well, you don't live in Mansfield. I'm like, I live in South Arlington. My mom lives in Mansfield. You're going to keep seeing me. And it's like, do you want us to make eye contact all the time? We're like, oh, it's that guy. Like, I have a ticket. Like, no, I don't want to be in this place of contention. We're going to see each other for decades. If you plan to keep policing here, we're going to see each other all the time. Why would you be at odds with your citizenry? Do you think that, because that is the form, huh?
Did you get out of it?
Not out of the ticket. No, he gave me that ticket. I'm gonna go to court. Good. But it's just like, and if I have the chance, I'm thinking to myself, the judge is not going to let me speak. But if I were to ever have the chance, I'd be like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean?
But best friend's a lawyer if you need one, by the way. Criminal defense lawyer.
Please. Gotcha. I mean, if I can get out of that ticket, yeah.
What time is it?
I have no idea. I got it. 12:08.
12:08?
Yeah. I think next time I go soon.
Okay. All right. But I will tell you this, that I have had over 300 tickets in the world.
Have you ever thought about not breaking the law?
I don't have one single ticket on my record.
Wow.
I've paid a lawyer and a plea bargain fee to get out of every single one of them.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I do. I'm driving home.
Okay.
And it was a construction zone. It's 11 o'clock. I'm a karate teacher. So I'm driving home at 11 o'clock at night. And they had a little construction zone. No construction, by the way. It's 11 o'clock at night.
It's just the zone.
It's just the zone.
Right.
And there's a stady. You know what a stady is? State Trooper.
Okay.
Stady's right there. And I blow through doing 75, right? And it's a highway construction zone. It's like 55. I'm going 75. And he pulls me over and he says, do you know why I pulled you over? I said, yes, sir. And now here's the thing. When a cop pulls me over, listen, I'm an ex-drug addict. So I dumb light on, car off, 10 and 2, license in my hand.
Right.
I'm going to give you no reason.
Right.
No reason.
To shoot me right now.
At all.
Right.
Right. A big smile on my face. So he comes to the window and he says, you know why you pulled me over? And I said, yes, sir. And if you want to wait here, every single night at 11 o'clock, I will be going this speed every single night.
Right.
I will not stop speeding at all. At all.
Yeah.
And he's like, but the speed, I said, no. You should totally write me a ticket. I know the law. I'm breaking the law. And I will tell you, I will break this law every single day. And you can write me a ticket every single day.
Right.
Yeah.
He looked at me, smiled, handed him the license back. He said, I'm not writing you a ticket. I know. Here's the thing.
Here's the difference between mine. Black cop.
Yours was?
Mine was a black cop. And I'm like, oh, he's giving me this ticket. He's not going to give me the
power trip, right?
No, he's tripping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I read all the ticket. Sergeant Sly. Yeah, that was
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that's his real name.
Yeah. Guys, listen,
All right.
as we're winding this down, Spence, I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
Look at this, man. Look at this.
It's a nice little surprise.
I know,
too.
man. Look at I'm glad
Yeah, man.
I'm glad your bonus will be in the middle is 10,000 times 0.
Yep. 100% off.
100%. But listen, guys, I appreciate you guys. We're going to have some great guests on the podcast this year. We're going to have
Jamie Cashin.
We've got Jamie Cashin next week, trying to get my best friend, who is a criminal defense lawyer. His dad's a Purple Heart, Vietnam. I'm going to have him on the podcast. We're going to have some other friends, but Spence, I appreciate the setup.
Yeah, man. Cool.
And listen, hey guys, do me a favor. Our numbers have been increasing. I think this podcast is something magical there, but I need you guys to go like and subscribe to the Spotify and YouTube. Follow us there. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. I try to keep up with that as much as I can.
Do you have a donation plug?
No, man, I don't do. So this is for them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We haven't got there yet. We have talked about probably this year dabbling in the sponsor stuff because our numbers are growing. But we'll keep everyone posted there. Okay. But instead of that, man, Spence, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
Chances always. Guys,
Thanks,
love you
guys.
See you guys.